people mistakenly spell it. And then if you pronounce my last name Fried, fried, then I'm brain fried.
Right. Right. I'm Jewish, so I figured this was an easy one. On this edition of Maxin TV, we have a special guest on, Brian Fried, serial entrepreneur and inventor. He's been seen with the likes of Damon John, Guy Fieri, and Anthony Sullivan. And at the end, we have the world famous Mr. Wonderful, Kevin O'Leary, to have a special message about Brian. I hope you guys enjoy. Welcome back to another great edition of Maxin TV. I have an esteemed guest on, Brian Fried, a serial entrepreneur, an inventor, invention coach, and just business coach overall. Brian, thank you so much for joining the show.
Thank you very much.
So before we get into everything, why don't you give us a little bit of a background? What do you do and how you got involved with inventions?
Well, I'm an inventor. First off, I see things, I evaluate if it's something that's going to be something and possibly make me money. And then I kind of take it to the next step. So through my journeys, I've had a lot of mistakes that I made. I've watched other people make certain mistakes, and I just continue to build up. So I started an inventors group on Long Island. You take both counties here on Long Island, which I was running a Long Island Inventors and Entrepreneurs Club, to be the 14th largest state in the country. So I had a lot of activity with inventors clubs. Now I converted it into the National Inventor Club. I've been coaching and helping entrepreneurs and business owners and inventors and people at any stage of the invention process to figure out if their idea is going to make them money, and just kind of evaluating if it's something that makes sense for licensing to earn royalties and manufacturing. So I've done that for myself, and I've had a chance to do that for other inventors and just continue to build up that credibility and knowing that I'm somebody that can go and be able to help you. I've also authored a couple books. One is called You and Your Big Ideas, and the other one is Inventing Secrets Revealed. I also have an inventor class, inventorclass.com. Inventor Smart is my company, you see in the back there. And I just launched a store for inventors called Inventor Mart, where there's all kinds of apparel and merchandise, all kinds of fun stuff, but I'm still inventing, and I'm helping inventors really get their product out by licensing or manufacturing. And I'll tell you, a lot of times I help people to figure out that maybe it's not the one, and they should work on their next idea, money, time, and effort for the next one. So a lot of fun things, but mostly helping on a daily basis, figuring out if it's something that they should that they should work on or move forward and wait for the next one.
Right. As they say, been there, done that. You've done it all. Tell me if I'm wrong, but you've got over 12 plus patents. You have a number of inventions. And again, as you mentioned, big box retail. I mean, you got into the king of retail, Walmart. It is practically almost impossible, not impossible, but almost, it is exceedingly hard to get into Walmart. You not only got into Walmart, you have a relationship with Walmart, QVC, all of the big names. I've seen you even with Lori Grenier from Shark Tank. Why don't you give us a little bit of information as to what makes a good idea like worth pursuing, or something I should be looking out for in order to not actually pursue it?
It's all about the idea itself. So I learn about your idea and I learn about you, and you have to figure out if it's something, what direction to take. It's really, when I was saying earlier, when we were talking off stage, it really doesn't matter who you are. You could be a doctor, lawyer, you could be a construction worker, a nurse. It doesn't matter. Any race or nationality, it just doesn't matter. Student, unemployed, senior citizen. you're in all different types of environments and things are happening all around you. You wake up, you take your blanket off, you're in the bathroom, you're in the shower, you're in the kitchen, you're on the road, you're in public transportation, you're in your own car, you finally get to your office or you're working from home and things are looking like, you gotta, when things happen, you gotta just capture that idea. And a lot of people just, I came up with this idea, but I didn't know what to really do next. It's the people that kind of stop and say, you know what, I have an idea. What do I do? So having an opportunity to be on your show, just to be able to continue to get the word out is really what this is all about. So you got to stop and then figure out what the next steps are. Is this idea really something that's going to make you money? That's really the question. So what do? When you come up with that idea, just the simple thing these days is just to go online and put in, maybe you came up with a really interesting name for it. I know a lot of people like, let's call this the Maxin, whatever, just something interesting. And then you try to search for it and it's not necessarily that. You can search online and put in something descriptive and see what comes up. And then click on images. You know how you see all those links? Instead of clicking on every link, go to the images and see what comes up. And if it's something that really just is almost that exact match, then just move on to the next idea. It's okay. Or is it something that you want to go into business with? As long as you're not infringing on somebody else's patent or intellectual property, you can continue to make it. You ever hear of the Snuggie?
Of course, sure.
Okay. So the Snuggie was invented a gazillion years ago, but a company said, you know what? A blanket with sleeves is a great idea. Let's call it the Snuggie, right? And then after the Snuggie came out, the Slanket and a million other versions came out. Why? Because after a certain amount of time, a patent becomes public domain. It expires. So let's say a utility patent, which is how things work and the functionality of it, lasts for 20 years. A design patent is 15. So after that, anybody can make it. And that's what happens. So just evaluating what direction you're going to take when you do come up with that idea and you look online and you see if it's out there. And then that's the most important thing. I can tell you that at that point, there's many people that just, it's almost like I came up with this great idea and I'm going to make $1 gazillion with it. And they're like searching, but you know how they're searching? With their eyes closed. They don't want to find it.
Right.
So that's the thing, whether it's an invention, a business idea, whatever it is, be real and make sure that what you're searching is what you find and search to find it because it's okay. You want to know now instead of 10 steps later finding and then going, oh, I should have, would have, could have, should have stopped in the beginning, but my emotions went over it instead of my business decision.
So interesting that when you mentioned that for a utility patent, you get 20 years and a design patent, you get for 15 years. And so I didn't realize that once that time passes, that's it. Then anyone can just kind of take the idea and roll with it. That's quite fascinating.
Well, that's the thing. So there's people that come up with ideas and then you have a certain amount of time to be able to get it out there and to market it and to sell it. And you're kind of holding a monopoly to it, but at the same time, you're at you have a time limit, and once it expires, it's public domain.
Right. So if someone, let's say someone actually came out with an unbelievable idea, something that even in your opinion is worth pursuing, what's the first thing they should be doing? Like, should they immediately go to a patent attorney who I'm sure is not cheap at all? What's exactly the roadmap essentially?
No problem. You know what, Max? Also on the other part of, let's say if the idea already exists and it expired, right? And you want to be able to do something with it. I was going to say before, like the Snuggie, for example, you can come up with a good trademarkable name and still be able to sell it and be able to get some kind of like excitement going just behind a trademark. So you can build an asset on a trademark and it doesn't necessarily have to be a patent if you're not going to be able to get any intellectual property protection on it. Okay. And just for the record, I'm not a patent attorney or agent, so I'm talking in my opinion.
Right.
Okay.
Your
On the
opinion
other,
holds a lot of water with me. You've done it before, so.
thank you.
I mean, just look at what I have here. Everyone has seen these, right? The tongs, and this was your edition, correct? When you
Well, does yours have an adjustment in there? So if you pull up mine is under, I have a set of tongs that are out there. I have a collapsible egg tray. I have pull ties, which is a bag sealer. I have snack containers, a bunch of different products that are out there. But I've licensed products, so I earn royalties for my inventions. And I also manufacture some. And I think you might have seen also, I shared with you my most recent one is my paper towel topper to keep the tops of your paper towel roll clean and dry. You know, Max, what you were saying before, when you're coming up with an idea, it's all about that search. I think that's really important. So I'll harp on it one more time. Do a search. Make sure you do your research, your due diligence, just like in any business that you come up with or that you want to work on. An idea is a business. So do your due diligence. Once I come up with that, I usually bring what I find, or I suggest to people what they find by doing the search, going online, set up like a little, almost like a spreadsheet for yourself, or just capture it somehow. And then what I like to do is I give it to a patent attorney or agent. And what they do is they look at what I came up with and they compare what I found online, and they give me what's called a patent search with a patentability opinion. And that means that they're going to look at the other prior art. They're going to look at the claims, if there's claims to the utility patent, and they're going to see, Brian, yours is this, and that's that. I don't really know if you have a shot at this. All right. I would rather that you tell me now before I continue. So you think we have a shot? It's an opinion from them. So a lot of times they could say, yeah, I think I can squeak it by. But if you're not 100% sure, you're really not close to being certain, I'm not sure. I have to make a decision if I want to take a chance. So let's say they say, yes, I think you do have a shot at intellectual property protection, a patent. Let's keep going. So what I do before that is I file what's called a provisional patent application. And what that does is that gives me the right for 1 year to say that my idea is patent pending while I'm exploring the market, but I don't have anything to do yet. So I did my search. Now what I'll do is I may do that patent search, okay, with the patentability opinion. And now what I want to do is I want to see if I can make like a simple prototype. So I may go to an engineer or a designer. There's industrial engineers. There's all different types of designers. And what I want to do is I want to be able to get to a point where I can see it. I want to know after that. So here's the thing. It could go either way. I like to do a search first before I continue. So if my search comes back as clear, then I'm going to work on some engineering, some CAD files, 3D drawing is what it's called. And then I'm going to make a prototype. And then once I have that prototype, I'm going to make a decision. Is this something that I should move forward with? Are people going to buy this? Is it niche? Is it mass market? So I've had a couple products on QVC, and one of them,
reusable food bag pull ties. These were made by a small business person who just had a better idea.
This one right now is in like Home Goods and TJ Maxx, and it's hard to see on this thing. But anyway, I came up with a product called pull ties. And when you go on, like when I was on QVC, I could be on and I could say, this is for this is for bread, this is for bread, this is for, cereal. But I started to get into different parts of the kitchen. At the end of the day, I said, how many people have bread? How many people use cereal? How many people have a pantry? Can you use it for this? Can you use it for that? And at the end of the day, it was how many people have a kitchen, right? So I like the mass market appeal. If somebody comes to me with a golf ball, they came up with one that does all kinds of tips and tricks and all kinds of amazing things. And they go, Brian, everybody in the world is going to want my golf ball. Does everybody play golf, Max?
Nope.
Okay. But when you're in that zone and you're on the golf course and you look around, you go, wow, everybody plays golf. It kind of like, when you step out and you ask people, not everybody plays golf. So you end up going through and you evaluate if it's something that's niche or it has mass market appeal. Where do you see it being sold? Is it sold in a mass market retailer? Is it something that is really kind of specific or higher end? There's a lot of questions that you got to ask yourself, and that's where you need to make some decisions. Is this something that if I license it, so I'm going to license it to earn royalties? So that means that, let's say I come up with these tongues like you saw, Max, and I want to go to a company that manufactures certain tongues and I added an addition to it. So I'm going to ask them, are you interested in licensing my intellectual property of a patent or patent pending? Okay. Most of the time that's how it works. Then they say, okay, yes, I'm interested. So what they're going to do is they're going to manufacture it, they're going to sell it, and every time one of them sells, I earn a royalty. Okay. And that's what licensing is. And on the other side, I could decide if I'm going to manufacture it. So I'm going to find the factory, I'm going to make it, I'm going to be responsible for the manufacturing, for the shipping, warehousing, logistics, the returns, the customer service, anything that's related to the product. And that's also an experience, and that's really going into your own business and taking the risk. Licensing, you're going to a company that's already established most of the time, and they have good volume that they're doing. So you're making a smaller percentage of mass volume. You could sell it on your own and sell a few, and you can have a higher margin. So you have to really weigh those things. And is your product licensable? Is it something that's going to be worthwhile for that licensee to end up having for make sense to be a partner with you basically for it? So those are the things that I kind of evaluate with you, and those are the decisions that you need to make. And then there's the whole thing after that. If you're not going to license it, how are you going to get the word out? So I work with inventors that say, Brian, I want to go into my own business. I want to manufacture my idea. And then they end up having 5,000 units in their garage. Well, now what? How about we think about that before you put the 5,000 units in your garage? So right. Those are the questions and the path that I help people to navigate through. Number one, is it something that you should work on? Most of the time it's no, and that's okay. I break a lot of hearts out there, but I'd rather that they know now than to go in a big circle and start off where they originally started from, or go back to where they originally started from with nothing. So that's the big question, and then kind of taking them through the steps and figuring out what the direction is that they should take, and I basically help them to make better decisions. But as I'm helping other people, I'm also doing it myself, and I'm showing people that if I can do it, you can do it. I'm nothing special. I've been through it. I've listened to people. I've educated myself through other people's, whether it's their journeys, their mistakes, their successes. I like to say that I'm intuitive, and I think about things from a consumer perspective, and then back to a buyer or a licensee, all the way back to me. So when I come up with something, I'm thinking about you, Max.
Hey, listen, thinking about me, I love it. Right? So I think that's the one thing that really separates you from pretty much the difference between being successful and non-successful. Like, as you mentioned, the golf ball guy, he wasn't thinking about people, he was thinking about himself. He probably plays golf, right? So he'd buy it, but I might not, because I don't really play golf.
Right. Well, and that's okay, because I'm sure, and it's like you want people to use your idea for the same reason you came up with it. That's my thing, is like, that's the amazing feeling. But yeah, you have to break it down into what the opportunity is. So even with the golf ball, it's like, here's the opportunity. How many people play golf? Okay. Out of this many people that play golf, how many different golf balls are out there? Okay. Well, how many more, like, between all the golf balls that are out there, what's making yours different, and why should they choose yours? So you see that? It's hard to see. So that's your window of opportunity. So that's what I really evaluate. And if that golf something, whatever it is that you were talking about that could be used for golf, what if it was used for other industries? Okay, so we ended up here. Now let's open it up. So what I try to do is, like, somebody might be very specific about this product and that it has to be included on something. Well, okay, now you're really putting yourself again in that narrow opportunity. But what if it was an attachment? And now you can attach it to something that already exists, and you don't have to worry about that person buying that specific thing. Boom, 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 boom. Right? And that's really, even the golf ball guy. Can the golf ball be used for other things? Is it something, the technology that you put in that golf ball, can it be used for other industries or other products, or maybe make it something different? That's what you want to do, instead of kind of putting yourself in that narrow window.
Right. And like you said, like, can you essentially attach it to something? As an example, I remember Billy Mays, obviously. I mean, who doesn't remember the great Billy Mays? I remember watching Pitchman, and one of the key factors of whether they're going to go forward with a product or not is there a wow factor, right? Do you also look for that wow factor?
Yes. And listen, Max, every product doesn't have to be a home run. You can have singles, you can have doubles, you can have a triple. I mean, everybody looks for the one that's the home run. So it's up to you. There's people out there that are making products and they're selling a few here or there, and they're proud that they took their idea and they actually commercialized it. And that's something to be very proud of. There's other people that want to go for that score. So I'm giving you kind of like the secret sauce of what it takes to really be able to get that exposure and get that kind of that activity going. Is you want to kind of hit the mass market. There's even baby products. Look, there's certain products that have done really well in certain categories, and that works too. You know, there's a lot of opportunity out there. You don't know, but you got to try, right? And the most important thing is when you come up with that idea to capture it, because how many times, Max, have you come up with something and you get distracted either by a phone call, somebody honks the horn at you, you just turn away for a second and it's gone. So capture it and see what you can do with it.
Yep. And so I'm sure you've heard this more than once, but when someone says, Brian, look at the opportunity here. There are over 100 million people that play golf. What can you imagine if I get just 1% of that? What is your opinion on that, on saying that?
I love numbers. I'm a big numbers guy. At the end of the day, all those things to me, even sometimes like business plans, I don't know. They're just numbers, like hindsight and speculation. I love the thought of taking a percentage of an industry or an opportunity. I just don't know. Like, are you including how many other golf balls that might be similar to yours, or that how many other golf balls there are out of that big percentage? Now you can break that down. And then what does the 1% look like? So look, there's always a shot. You want to get in front of people. And these days, you don't have to be in a mass market retailer to be successful. You can be online, you can be in catalogs, you can be in all different types of retailers, specialty, boutique. I know somebody who's doing really well every time they have a almost like a road show or a trade or one of those fairs that are in their area. Like, they love it and they feel like they're killing it and they're making money. So to me, like I said, Max, you come up with an idea, you bring it to life, and you sell it. That right there, to me, is successful.
Right. As far as, obviously every case is different, whether you decide to license a product, whether you're actually going to sell it on your own. For someone who would just start out, let's say, they have a product, they want to license it, let's say to a big box. I could certainly see how someone might, because dealing with Walmart is very, you probably can attest to, is probably not the easiest thing to deal with, right? They're very demanding certain things. But is there ever a thought that, a place like a Walmart or another big box can literally just screw someone, just, essentially sign an agreement, but then again, just not pay the royalty and just say, like, screw you, you're like this little guy, we have 14,000 lawyers, good luck with that. Is that ever a problem?
But let me just clear one thing up, Max. So Walmart and other retailers, most of the time, they do not license your invention from you. If you're going through the aisles, let's say at Walmart, and there's Farberware Pro, or there's Johnson & Johnson, Kimberly-Clark, like all these different brands that are on the retail shelf, those are the ones you flip over, you look and you see the names of the manufacturers on there. Those are the ones that may license your intellectual property, your patent from you, okay? So in that way, does that change your question a little bit? Because the other side, if you're going into Walmart or Target, that most likely is you manufacturing your product and having, most of the time you need a product line. It's tough with a one product SKU unless you have some really good traction out there. It is possible, but it's difficult to have one SKU, one product that you sell. That means that you're going to manufacture the product and you're going to knock on Walmart store and Target store and corporate, and you're going to see if they're going to want to add your product into the store. But most likely you're going to be manufacturing it on your own, Max. So you would have that intellectual property. They would buy it from you at wholesale. So it cost you $1 to make. You sell it to them for $3. They sell it for $5.99. So you're basically selling it to them for $3. They're paying you $3 per unit. Whatever they sell it for is up to them. Okay, right. Unless there's some kind of restriction you have on how much you want them to sell your product up to with the cost. But that's different, Max. So if you're licensing the rights to your intellectual property to a licensee, they probably have a brand in the store or products in the store. You go to them, you say, I would like to align my product with your existing product line. I think this would look really cool. And they would make it, sell it, and you would earn a royalty from it. So you would work directly with that licensee, that brand, that company that has the product distributed in the retail store.
Right. And so just getting back to when you mentioned that you were on QVC, you were actually pitching products, like, just looking at you, I know you could sell your product, but let's say the guy who, the company is owned by a doctor, or, someone that they may not feel as comfortable selling their product. Is it necessary that they should have their face on their product, or should they really just consider having someone sell it for them?
You could do either one. Like a QVC, for example, when you end up getting accepted your product, you have a choice if you want to be an on-air guest and you can go through kind of their training, which is amazing. At the same time, you can hire somebody to be on air for you. You mentioned a doctor. So if you came up with something really interesting that called for a doctor being able to present the product, like you as a doctor being able to present your product and giving that credibility, that's something that could be really unique. Me as the inventor going on with my inventions, that was pretty unique. You know what I mean? Like people can see the actual person behind the product. So that definitely helped. But sure, if you wanted to have somebody else speak on your behalf, you can always hire a guest host.
Right. And so if someone were to go that route of pitching their own product, what advice would you give them? Anything specifically to look out for or to specifically focus on?
Well, it's really both ways, Max. So number one, with licensing, your risk is much less than it would be if you're manufacturing. You can get up to a point where you have a good prototype for licensing and have that intellectual property, even of a provisional patent application. So you can kind of go through the steps and then pitch your idea to potential licensees that have that distribution and manufacturing capability and try it that route. If you're going the other route where you're manufacturing your idea, well, you have tooling and you have those expenses, and then you have to take a risk. So you're investing your money into the tooling. If it needs tooling or molding or different types of manufacturing, then you're going to go into a production run. So how many units are you going to produce? What's the minimum order quantity just to get started with the factory? Are you manufacturing overseas? You're here in the U.S.? when you do have that 5,000 units in your garage, what are you going to do? So there's what kind of packaging, barcoding, all the logistics that are needed to really get to that point. But you're investing money into the manufacturing and having product. So you want to be able to have that path. And that's the risk that you're taking as a business owner, Max.
Right. Listen, it's clear as day the value that you bring to a inventor or future inventor, that you essentially are, I wouldn't say skipping over the, I mean, as they say, it took me 15 years to be able to do this for 30 seconds. So essentially you are helping someone avoid all of those costly mistakes. It could cost them $100,000, $50,000 of losses potentially by going to a product they may not have, they should not have potentially have gone into.
So what I do, Max, is I help people to make better decisions. And I've done this before. And that's why I feel like I'm a good person to be able to run this by, because I'm going to help you with navigating through, number one, first off, if it's something that you should work on, understanding who you are, your product, what the potential is, and helping you to make that decision if it's something that you should work on or just move on to the next one. And like I said earlier, that's okay. You can just know that you tried and you're not going to make those kind of mistakes, or you're not going to work on somebody else's patent, or you're going to work on something that is really limited on what you're going to make, what you're going to put in, and what you're going to get out. So that's what I really like to do, is break it down, and I'll beat it up with you, figure out that kind of decision and who you are. Are you a gazillionaire and you want to make a gazillion units of your idea? Even if you have a gazillion dollars, do you want to go into business doing this, or do you want to, or you want to license it and let somebody else manufacture it and distribute it? On the other side, somebody might be limited on funds. I had an inventor that I helped that didn't have a job, young guy, and he showed me a prototype with cardboard, and we ended up going on QVC with it. Not with the cardboard.
Right.
I ended up helping him to license it, and basically they manufactured it, and then we went on QVC with it, and it sold. So I'm just saying, like, there's ways to be able to do things on a shoestring budget, and I don't care how much money you have. I want to be able to know that there's, like, to figure out, number one, if it's something you should work on, and then any of the steps that you need help with along the way, I have access to. I've been working with people for many years. Me personally, I've been doing this for, I've been an inventor for over 20 years. I'm 47. Wow. I've been helping inventors for more than 16 years. Between my books, my blog, just being able to get the word out, my inventor class, just doing whatever I can to be able to educate inventors and be able to help them to make those better decisions, Max.
Right. And so looking back after doing this for so long, what are you most proud of?
It's really, my inventions are my babies. I have my daughter who's 19. She's my number one baby. My inventions are my babies. They all have their own stories and journeys and reasons why I came up with it. But I have to say, Max, it's really true. I just love seeing people use my products. I really do. I know the money and all that other stuff comes afterwards, but I just love, like, I brought that thing out of my brain into the prototype stage, prototype until I got it to where I thought it would be the best for the consumer, not for me, for the consumer, and how I would impress either the licensee or the buyer, whatever it was, to be able to say, this is something that other people will use. And then watching them use it, how cool is that?
It's like the greatest feeling of validation ever, right? I mean, like, you can literally be on vacation, walk into any Walmart, and boom, you're like, that's my product.
But I love when other people are able to do that too. And that's why, like, I want to help people fulfill their dreams and their goals of maybe being the next millionaire inventor or next $1 million invention, whatever it is. But it's not easy. You got to make sure that you're going through those steps and be real, and just know that it's something that is something that might have that opportunity, and take your emotions out of it and make better business decisions in anything in life. Sometimes somebody, it could be for just getting an estimate in your house. Somebody tells you something and it's like, yes, you're right. My house is beautiful. Am I this? Am I that? And yes, I'm going to go with you. But it's like, wait a second, the guy is charging me too much, or the company's charging me too much. Let me get another opinion, or get a second opinion, or ask somebody else, or get another estimate. You got to be able to make good business decisions, because we get emotionally attached with our ideas, and we want to know that it's in our best interest. And if you can do it on a shoestring budget, or you can do it with limited funds, yeah, that's the goal. But sometimes people come up with unbelievable ideas that take electronics and components and wind turbines and all these type of things. Yeah, I mean, anything is possible. I can make anything. And I can help you to make anything. It's just, is it going to make you money? Is it something that you want to try to license, or do you want to go into your own business and manufacture it? So that's really that fork in the road. But before there, spend the time to do your research. Do your research. Make sure it's something that's going to make you money from the start, and you're not working on somebody else's intellectual property, or you're not picking something that anybody can make because you want to call it your own. So there's ways to do that and to figure it out. Maybe it's something you want to add to what already exists so you can call it your own. Maybe you want to come up with a good trademarkable name that you could call it your own that's different. Maybe you'll market it different, like the Snuggie did. Those are the things that I help you to figure out, Max.
Right. And so just ending off here, was there anything that maybe we didn't cover, but you would like to, say over to a future entrepreneur?
Yes. You can come up, you just have to stop and be aware of what's going on around you. You're coming up with ideas all the time and you don't know it. Come up with that idea, stop, write it down, capture it, go online, do your research, see if it's initial stages, spend the time to search and see if it's out there, and then just keep going. Like, figure out if it's something that is going to make you money. And that's really the most important part, is like to stop and come up with that idea. Think about the things that annoy you. That's how I come up with ideas. When I see myself doing something I don't like, or I watch other people do things that takes 2 or 3 steps after the fact to get it done, and it can be done much simpler, those are the things that I like to do. And then just evaluating the window of opportunity. So people need to do that. Stop and capture your idea. You have them. Just figure out what to do with them. And somebody like myself can help you to figure that out.
Right. Do you also do government websites?
Government?
You also do I'm just joking. Do you also you said like something that annoys you that should take 3 steps, should take you 1. So I'm like, do you want to do all right, bad joke. So anyways, if anyone wants to reach out to you, maybe ask you a question, potentially want to work with you, how do they get in touch with you?
Well, I have my personal website, which is brianfried.com. My inventorsmart.com website has all those things that I mentioned earlier. I have my inventor consulting on there, my inventors, my National Inventor Club, which is going strong. If you want to be a guest on my show, I do a Got Invention show where I interview inventors and their journey of how they came up with their idea all the way to where they are now and what their future looks like. Inventor Mart to go shopping for apparel. But really, that Inventor Smart is my resources and my connections to be able to help you with vendors. And they give you great pricing, great service, and I watch everything. And you're talking to me. So I'm still talking to the inventors, helping them to make that decision. So brianfried.com is easy. Inventorsmart.com is good. And I also have a link tree, which you can do brianfried.me. And that gives you like a directory of all my websites and my social media as well. But I'm pretty active on LinkedIn and a couple social channels. So I appreciate it, Max. Thank you.
No, absolutely. And I will be leaving links down below. I just wanted to thank you personally. I really appreciate you coming on. It's been a pleasure of mine. I'm sure all my viewers really enjoyed this. I'm sure it's going to help a lot of people. And again, If anyone wants to reach out to him, it's brianfried.com. Thanks again, Brian.
Thank you, Max, and keep on inventing.
There we go. Absolutely. Till next time, we'll see you again.
Take care.
Hey everybody, Mr. Wonderful here. You know I love royalties. Oh, just mention royalties and I just feel warm and fuzzy all over. But when you talk about big ideas, big invention ideas, you need to speak to the inventor coach, Brian Fried. He has earned royalties and manufactures his own inventories and helps others with their big ideas. Like me, he loves licensing. So check him out. Great coach to have if you've got a great idea that you'd like to build up into a big business. Check him out at brianfried.com. It's BRIANFRIED.com. A great coach if you're an inventor. Great ideas, dime a dozen. Executional skills, making them happen in the market, much harder. That's what Brian does. Brian Fried. One more time, BRIANFRIED.com. Good luck, everybody. I want every entrepreneur to succeed. Brian can help you.
Don't forget to like and subscribe.